Hey guys, so today I want to talk about my 0.5 League starter, which is going to be the Hollow Palm Martial Artist, which will be heavily leaning on the Facebreakers for damage. Now, if you don't know why the Facebreakers are so good for the Hollow Palm playstyle, I'm going to recommend you checking out this video over here because I explain in very deep detail about why these gloves are actually really good for the playstyle, and it's not just for one-handed maces. And in fact, I actually think it's worse for one-handed maces than for Hollow Palm. But long story short, with some decent gear, we should be able to stack our character up to over 500 strength and get over 100% more unarmed damage, which should help us get competitive numbers to quarterstaff. So at the end of the day, it is going to be a stat stacker. But I do predict that we might not even be using the Facebreakers for like the super end game. I'm expecting that we're going to be using the Olros Legacy, which is the rune that allows us to extract a unique modifier from an item. And then we're going to use that to extract the Facebreaker line right here and just put it on our gloves or our character for that type of scaling. And this also leads us into why Martial Artist is going to be the playstyle that I'm choosing, other than the fact that it is the new class, and that is the node called Way of the Stonefist. Now, this node is extremely cool because it allows you to transform your gloves into an evasion energy shield base, which is really good for Monk, right? Really good for Hollow Palm as well. And also, it oftentimes changes these stats into something that is at least beneficial or more suitable for Monk. So there's a potential that we see this go from like potentially strength to dex or something like that, or maybe even this change from like one-handed mace to quarterstaves. We don't know exactly how it's going to work, but that is part of the reason why I want to play it, because I'm so excited to see the possibilities with this and see what Way of the Stonefist actually does to these gloves to potentially scale our damage to an area where it is even high, like at least competitive with quarterstaff, because that's always been the problem with Hollow Palm in 0.4. 0.3 a little bit less so, but 0.4 Hollow Palm was always something people considered to be a campaign playstyle, and after that it just never made sense to play Hollow Palm because quarterstaves just scaled so much better than it. So hopefully with the Facebreakers being added in the game with this line specifically, we are going to be able to at least get close to how quarterstaves scale. And that is the whole reason why I'm playing Martial Artist and Hollow Palm with these gloves, because I love the playstyle and I want to do it again. And this gives me hope that it will actually be something that is going to be decent. Now, going into the Martial Artist Ascendancy, I know a lot of you guys are probably wondering, like, what Ascendancy nodes are we using? What Ascendancy nodes are good? And how I'm going to be going through the Ascendancy in terms of leveling, right? So, of course, I have my leveling guide, which is here. For 0.5, we are going to be using the Glacial Cascade and Frozen Locust playstyle all the way through, but that might change depending on some factors, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But I have the guide up right now and we'll be updating as we go through. But this doesn't have the Ascendancy nodes, so I'll talk about that the Ascendancy nodes here while we are in this section. So what am I going to do for Ascendancies? A lot of you guys are probably going to be leading and thinking, hey, I should probably take the Way of the Stonefist first because this is the premier node of the Martial Artist and everybody considers this to be like the OP node. But the thing is, the Way of the Stonefist is actually not very good for the campaign. It actually scales a lot worse for the campaign than flat stats. So instead of going the Way of the Stonefist, we are actually going to be likely taking the Way of the Mountain as our first node down here. Now, this is for, of course, the playstyle that I have listed in the guide. There is a world where we actually go Falling Thunder instead of Glacial Cascade because of this node right here, Hollow Focus. This allows the monk to spawn bells at a certain interval. I think it's like a couple second interval, right? It says right here every 2 seconds, but I think it starts off at every 3. And those bells can be cold with something like Killing Palm to get power charges, which was one of the biggest reasons why Falling Thunder was so hard to run in campaign, was because it was hard to generate power charges against single target. But this should solve that problem. But I just don't know how it is going to be in practice, because 3 seconds might sound kind of okay, but at the end, does it compare to how Glacial Cascade operates in the campaign? I just don't know. So if you want to try that and be a little bit experimental, you can go Hollow Focus and go for a Falling Thunder playstyle. But at least for now, what I'm planning to do is Glacial Cascade. And as a result, we are going to be going Way of the Mountain, because whenever we freeze enemies, we will be getting stacks of the Mountain's Teaching, which will be giving us 15% more damage for our attacks, which is really, really good. So that is the current plan for our first Ascendancy node. Then we're going to be going Runic Meridians. This is because while Runic Meridians, at least at the moment with the runes, are good, all it really does is give us defenses, which, you know, it's good if you're playing hardcore. Yeah, fine, you can take this first, but I would say that I'm playing in softcore, so I'm going to be taking this second. But there is a world where some of the runes that get dropped by the runes of Aldur League are really good. So depending on what happens there, this Runic Meridians might be the first Ascendancy node or the second one. We'll see. But either way, first one is here, and then second one is going to be here. Now, the third Ascendancy node is going to be in the end game. Now, when we head into the end game, I'm actually going to be swapping and respecking off of Way of the Mountain into Way of the Stonefist now, because at this point in the end game, the actual conversions, the actual affixes that Way of the Stonefist gives us is much more beneficial than what we had before. So that's why we're going to do that whole swap right there, and then going into the Trial of the Sekimas or whatever we get for our third Ascendancy, we're either going to go back into Martial Master, or we might go into the combo playstyle. We'll kind of see. It really depends on how things unfold and what seems strong, what doesn't seem strong. So that is a little bit TBD, but at least the first two and the when we get an end game, that's kind of pretty much decided on my end. Now that brings us into the end game. What are my end game plans for this character? Well, at the moment, I'm probably thinking about going Flicker Strike. And the reason for that is because it's very simple. I like Flicker Strike, right? I think Flicker Strike is one of the coolest skills in the game, so I want to try going Flicker Strike. But of course, this build is going to be very flexible. The whole playstyle is very flexible. You can use pretty much any quarterstaff skill out there to run this build. So if you are following this build guide and you're like, I don't want to run Flicker Strike, that's totally fine. The tree for the most part should be staying the same for most skills that you're using. Just, you know, minus the power charges and then, you know, put it into other things, right? So you can still follow the tree if you're not playing Flicker Strike, but I'm probably going to be playing Flicker Strike in the end game if it turns out to be like last league. It was not amazing in the end game, but I'm hoping this league we can, you know, turn it into something good. But yeah, that is the current plan for our character. I really want to play the Hollow Palm playstyle, and I'm really hoping that Facebreakers are going to be good. Now, it's a little bit TBD about how rare these gloves are, and I think a lot of people do want to play with them. So even if they aren't that rare, they might be a little bit expensive. We'll see. But my hope is that the fact that these gloves are on a level 1 base potentially means that we're going to be able to find these relatively easily if we really wanted to. So that kind of really can throw a wrench into our plans, but I think that regardless, the Hollow Palm playstyle with the Way of the Stonefist node should be good enough for us to carry our build until we get the Facebreaker gloves. And then from there on out, we'll go stat stacker, and then we'll just, you know, dominate, right? That is the current plan, and I'm really looking forward to the seeing how this character grows. But of course, I will be league starting and streaming this on twitch.tv/MeSoXhuru when the league starts. So be sure to follow me there. And of course, also follow this guide, press like the favorite button, right? And everything, all that good stuff. I'll be updating this guide as we get more and more info / as I play through the game a little bit more. So yeah, that about wraps up this video. Not really too deep, just talk about what I plan to do. And there's just a lot of things subject to change, right? And as always, if you have any questions, let me know down in the comment section below. Are you excited for martial arts? Are you going to be playing this type of character? Let me know down there because I want to see it all. And also, if you want to support the channel, please, the best way to do it is by hitting the sub button. It's completely free and lets me know that you enjoy the content. I also stream every single day on twitch.tv/MeSoXhuru. So hopefully I can see you guys there. But if not, hopefully I'll see y'all on the next video. All right, guys. Peace.